views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello everyone, my name is Sawaris and this is episode 3. In this episode, we'll be sharing interviews and tips to help you with your lifestyle. I'm here with Jesus.
Hello friends, spring is here and so is seasonal allergies. Today we'll be talking with Dr. Rachel, who is a specialist in allergies. But before that, we are going to listen to some tips for people that play sports.
So stay tuned and don't forget to wear your mask. Hello everyone, hope you're having a wonderful day. As some of you know, spring is one of my favorite seasons. But that comes with seasonal allergies, which means a lot of people start getting hay fever, which is sneezes and snuffles.
Achoo!
Also, are you wondering what are some seasonal allergies? Well, I'm here to tell you what is most popular in our country. In first place, we have milk. Second, tree nuts. Third, eggs. And fourth, and most definitely, nuts. Are some of you allergic to these? Please let us know. Hello friends, we have personal trainer Luis Bertuz. He'll be answering our questions and giving us tips to have a healthier lifestyle.
How old did you, at what age did you know you wanted to be a bodybuilder or a body trainer?
I decided I wanted to be a personal trainer when I was 19. So I didn't actually start working out until I was about 18.
How many hours a day do you train?
Well, it depends on what I'm working out for. When I've done photo shoots, my workouts are different. If I'm training for a Spartan race or an obstacle course race, my workouts are different. So they sometimes can go for an hour to sometimes 2 hours.
When did you start to see the results of your training?
It was kind of tough because I've always been an active kid, so I was always running around. I just didn't know how to necessarily work out. So I didn't actually start seeing results until maybe about a month after I started, and that I not only started but was consistent. So it wasn't just once a week and then I would stop. It would be, at least 3 to 4 times a week for at least a month.
Do you think exercise without a healthy diet gives you results?
One goes with the other one. So if you're not eating healthy as well as working out, you're kind of making it more difficult for yourself. There's no need to, if you're not going to do one, then don't do the other one. So it's important. For some people, when you first start out, it's 50% for each one. Working out is just as important as eating healthy. As you start working out for so many years and so much more time, the nutrition aspect, the food actually becomes more important than the exercise itself, because now your muscles in your body have matured, you're older, you have more experience. So it kind of depends at what stage you are in your life.
What keeps you motivated?
I always want to be better. I always want to do more than what I just did, in the sense that I know while something's happening, I know that I can push a little bit harder. And it's like studying for a test. If you know there's one question that's like, oh man, if I had just studied a little bit more, I would probably know this. So for me, for example, when I do my obstacle course races, and I have asthma, so when I'm running out there, I know that my lungs hurt a little bit, and I just know if I had just done a little bit more cardio, I hate cardio, if I had just done a little bit more cardio, then I probably would have done better. And that's my motivation for every year after, every race after, just do a little bit better. And that keeps me motivated.
If I wanted to join a fitness world, what is the first step I have to take?
If you wanted to join, you have to ask yourself why. The most important question you always have to ask yourself before doing something is why? Why do I want to do this? And you also have to learn that no matter what your answer is, that answer is important to you. It doesn't matter what anyone else might say about it. So if you say, I want to get into the fitness world because I want to get stronger, that's important to you. For whatever reason, that's important to you. And the easiest way to start that is just find someone that you can trust that can show you something simple and then build from there. Once you master the simple, then you can move on to the next thing. And then you just start building from there.
Where are you currently training your clients?
Where am I not? Because of the current COVID circumstances, I train clients virtually, so doing via my phone. I train clients outdoors in the park. I train clients in a COVID-safe gym. I train clients by sending them exercise videos. So it's more like, where am I not training clients? So it's basically what I'm trying to say is that there's no excuse. There's no reason as to why you can't get in a workout with a trainer. There's a way to find a way.
If you were a personal trainer, what do you think you will be doing?
A chef. I'd probably be a chef. But with a staff, because I love to cook. I just hate cleaning up afterwards.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. Maybe I'd be a chef. Maybe I'd be a veterinarian because I like animals more than I like people. Nothing against you guys. But there's so many options out there that it's just like that's what I love about the personal training industry, in the sense that it gives me an outlet to do so many more things as well. So it's not just about lifting weights. It's also about finding what people are good at and helping them with that as well. So I don't know. My knee-jerk response is a chef because I love food, and that's another way for me to express myself.
What's your favorite meal to eat during a cheat day?
Okay, so let's break that down in the sense of, I don't believe in cheat days. I don't believe in the word cheat, because food should not be a reward or something that you punish yourself with. Because the word cheat is a bad word. So in essence, a cheat meal is something bad. I would rather refer to it as an indulgence meal, and that's something that you earn. An indulgence is something that, like, all right, I worked this much, I earned this much, where I want to indulge. But to answer your question about shorter pizza.
What should I eat after a workout?
My rule of, I'm not a certified nutritionist, so I can't tell you exactly what to eat. I can advise you, and what I tell most of my clients to eat is to just focus on a protein, so a nice lean meat, and vegetables. So it's simple. It's really hard to mess that up. So if you get a simple salad after you work out, it's the best thing for you to have to replenish your muscle and your energy.
Do you have any tips or anything that could help anyone starting out?
My biggest tip that I tell everyone is to just be consistent. Is just keep going, and every day is a new day to start. So there's no such thing as like, oh, I'll start Monday. Why wait till Monday? You're here now, so it's like, start with a walk. Start with the simplest thing that you have available. Go for a walk. Once you get used to a walk, go for something more. Go for a run. And then from there, start building. Human bodies want to be in motion. They want to move. Once you start moving and once it gets used to it, it's going to want to do more. So that's where the consistency comes in.
We'd like to thank you so much for coming and joining us and answering all our questions.
Yeah, it was great. It was fun.
We hope to see you next time, and next time you probably will teach us some workouts.
Oh, I will.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, guys. It was great. Thank you.
Hi again. As a young athlete, I've learned a few things about adding to your routine that can help you improve your performance. Resting, make healthier food choices, drink more water, focusing on conditioning your body, developing a mental preparation habitat such as listening to music, practicing mindfulness, or visualizing your ideal performance during the game. Now let's learn about allergies.
Welcome, everyone. Today, we are excited to have Dr. Rachel with us. She works at the Children's Hospital Montefiore, and her specialty is allergy and immunology, as well as pediatrics. Thank you so much for joining us today, Rachel. We know that with the arrival of spring, we also welcome the allergy season. And there are a few things that we think the community and the youth would like to know about allergies. So the kids from the foundation have prepared a few questions for you.
Great, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here and to answer your questions.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn, and my question is, where did you study to be a doctor?
So I've actually been here in the Bronx for quite a long time. I did medical school training here at Albert Einstein College of Medicine in the Bronx. And then I did my pediatric training here at the Children's Hospital at Montefiore in the Bronx. And after you finish your pediatric training, you specialize in allergy and immunology, if that's what you choose. And I did that training here in the Bronx at the Children's Hospital at Montefiore. And I took my first job here at the Children's Hospital at Montefiore in the Bronx. So I've been here for a long time. And it's been nice to serve the population here and to also help answer you guys' questions today.
How do you know if I'm allergic to something?
That's a good question. So there are, in simple terms, two things that you could be allergic to. One would be, let's say, like, oh, there's many things, but the most common things that people think about are food allergies or medication allergies. And then there's like the environmental allergies. So when it comes to being allergic to things in the environment, one of the common things that people could be allergic to are springtime allergies, which are tree pollen. But every season has its pollen. So the spring has tree pollen and the summer has grass pollen. In the fall, the weeds pollinate. And then there are things in the environment that we could be allergic to year round, like dust and cat and dog and cockroach, because those are around all the time. And the way that you know that you have allergies to the environment is you get symptoms of like watery, itchy eyes, or runny nose, stuffy nose, sneezing, feeling very congested. Those are really the major symptoms of environmental allergies. And food allergies would present differently, and I could answer that if that was also what you were asking. When you're allergic to a food, let's just pretend it's peanut. That means that every single time you eat peanut, whether it's a little bit or a lot, you're going to have a reaction that happens within minutes to at most an hour or two after eating the food. And the symptoms are going to be things like a hive rash, an itchy rash. You could have sometimes difficulty breathing, coughing, or wheezing, even vomiting and or diarrhea. But usually it comes along with a rash, which is what helps you realize that you're having that allergic reaction. And I explain that to my patients all the time, because if you're eating a food and sometimes you're fine, and then other times you eat that food and you're not, it's not a food allergy, because if you were allergic to that food, it would happen every single time you eat the food. So again, it's very, very obvious, and the reactions don't happen the next day. They happen within minutes to an hour or two of eating the food.
So how does the allergy test works?
So whether it's to food allergies or to environmental allergies, we could do testing on the skin, or we could do testing on blood work. They're both excellent tests, but it's nice to do it on the skin because you could do it right then and there when the patient's with you in the office and have an answer right then and there and give them guidance, as opposed to waiting a week or two for blood test results. And sometimes we need to do both. So pretty much what it looks like is we have this applicator. Okay, it has little spikes on it. I'll show you kind of from the side. So, and it really is not painful. It feels like a little superficial scratch on your skin. See, like I'm doing it to myself. It doesn't hurt. What we do is we put little drops of the things that we think someone's allergic to. So we'll have little drops of grass pollen or cockroach. I love telling kids that that's this cockroach, this is that cat. It always grosses them out. but it's literally proteins from the things that you could be allergic to. And we have the same thing for food. So you could have a little bit of a peanut extract, fish, shrimp, whatever you think that the patient's allergic to. And what you do is you put those little drops on, and then you gently scratch the skin. And after that, the drops are sitting on the surface of the skin that you just scratched, and you wait 15 minutes. And what will happen in that time is if you're not allergic to the drop of peanut, for example, then nothing will happen at that spot. It won't become red or swollen or itchy. But if you're allergic to peanut, then it can become red and itchy and look like a hive at that spot. So that's how allergy testing works. But I'll give a disclaimer that just because you test positive to something on an allergy test, it does not mean that your body is allergic to it. Okay, so our tests can be wrong, which is why the story always matters. And so if someone tells me they eat peanuts all the time and they're fine, and their skin test to peanut comes back showing that they're allergic, I don't believe the test, because the best test is not this, it's what your body does when you eat the food. And that's actually what we'll finally do. If we're not sure if a patient is allergic or not, with our testing and with our story, we will bring them into the office and they'll stay for like 3 to 4 hours eating the food that we're concerned about in small amounts. So we'll give like a 16th of a tablespoon of peanut butter, and then an 1/8, and then 1/4, and then 1/2, and slowly watch and see if they tolerate the food or not. Because the best test is what happens when you eat the food.
Are allergies contagious?
I like that question. That's a good question. Allergies are not contagious. I think that if I wanted to like rephrase the question a little bit, they can run in families. And so there are certain diseases that are considered allergic diseases, and that would be things like food allergy, environmental allergies, asthma, and eczema. Those are all allergic diseases, and they often run in families. So you'll hear that a kid has environmental allergies and their father has asthma and their mom has seasonal allergies. We'll often hear that. But what's a common misconception is that you're going to be the same as your parent. So in other words, I have a lot of patients who the father, for example, is allergic to shrimp. So they think that their kid will be allergic to shrimp. But no, if the father's allergic to shrimp, all it means is that his children are more likely to have an allergic disease like asthma or eczema or a food allergy to something or environmental allergies, but not to specifically what the parent was allergic to.
What's the most common allergy in the world?
That's a good question. So the world is hard to answer because different parts of the world will have different foods that are more common to be the most allergenic food, and it could be based off of our diets and like what people eat more of in other countries. But in the United States, milk and egg are the most common food allergies seen in children. So that would be the most common for young kids. The most common foods in general, I would say that 90% of food allergy are caused by like 7 groups of foods: milk, egg, wheat, fish, shellfish, soy, peanut, and tree nuts. It's very unusual to have a food allergy to foods other than those foods that I just mentioned. When the story is very convincing, obviously we'll test for it. But more than 90% of the foods that cause food allergy are those that were just listed.
Can stress make allergies worse?
Okay, good question. They're all good questions. So I would say that stress doesn't really impact food allergies or environmental allergies, but we could think about the word stress in a different way. So like if you stress your body, so let's say you're exercising a lot or you're sick. So that can sometimes change the amount of food that can trigger an allergic reaction. So for example, you might have people who are, if you're allergic to food, you're allergic to it. There's no, I'm a little bit allergic, I'm a lot allergic. Once you're allergic, you're allergic. But it could be that the amount that will trigger the allergic reaction could be very little in some people and a little bit more in other people. And that can change sometimes with stress. So if you've just exercised or you're sick, then the amount of peanut, let's say, that could trigger an allergic reaction, and you might be less than if you hadn't just exercised, for example, or stressed the body. But there are there's other allergic diseases or rashes that are triggered by stress. So there is something called chronic urticaria, and that's when people get hives, not triggered by an allergy, not triggered by food, not triggered by the environment. It kind of happens for no reason usually. And there can sometimes be certain triggers for those hives, such as stress or heat or cold. And so stress can trigger a hive-like rash, but not an allergy.
Can I be allergic to something as an adult?
Yes. Okay. So when it comes to food allergy, most of the time people are presenting with a food allergy as children, but adults can certainly develop a food allergy even to something that they've been eating in the past. So it could be that they've been tolerating fish their whole life, and now they're in their 40s or 50s and they start developing a food allergy to fish. It's more rare, but it can definitely happen. And on the flip side, environmental allergies for sure can develop in the adult years.
So, what specifically are the symptoms of a food-related allergic reaction?
Okay, I think that's a good question. I mentioned it a little bit before, but I think it's always worth going over because there's a lot of misconceptions where people are having what we would call symptoms that are an intolerance to a food, which is very, very different than an allergy. So for example, there's something called lactose intolerance. And that's when you drink milk and you can't really break down the sugars in milk well. And so you get abdominal pain and diarrhea. That's not a food allergy. That's a different problem that people could have to milk. And so foods can do that. Foods sometimes can give people belly pain. I mean, that would be a common complaint. Someone says they eat something and like their stomach bothers them or they have diarrhea from it. Those are not food allergies. And the other clue that something's not a food allergy is that they'll tell you, like I said before, sometimes I could have it, sometimes I can't. I don't need a test to prove it. It's not a food allergy. So when you have a food allergy, it happens every single time you eat that food protein. And it will happen within minutes to an hour or two, okay? Not hours later. And the reaction is gone within 24 hours. So sometimes I'll have people come and say, my kid ate salmon and 4 hours later they had a rash and then this rash lasted for a week. Well, that rash was from something else. It wasn't from the salmon because that story does not go along with the timeline of a food allergy. So food allergy is a very, very particular storyline that clues you into the fact that this is a food allergy. And those symptoms will be that within minutes to an hour, you have typically a rash, hives, maybe some swelling of your lips, your eyes, vomiting, difficulty breathing, coughing, wheezing, belly pain, and diarrhea. Sometimes your blood pressure can drop if it's a severe reaction. And that's why anyone who has a food allergy, even if they didn't experience a severe reaction, they are at risk for a severe reaction. Like I said, either you're allergic or you're not. And so it's so important to avoid the food that you're allergic to and to carry your EpiPen with you. An EpiPen is the medication that will treat an allergic reaction and save your life. And I spend a lot of time with my patients telling them like your EpiPen is your best friend and that they shouldn't be scared of it because people are scared of needles and to encourage them to carry it around. And sometimes when we do food challenges in the office and the child fails, I will have the parent, instead of me, give the EpiPen to their child so that they can feel empowered, that they know how to use it, and that when they see their kid get better, that they help their kid get better. So you always want to carry an EpiPen for your food allergy.
How much of an allergen would trigger a reaction?
That's a good question. So for, let's talk about food allergy. So the amount that can trigger a reaction might be a little bit different for each person. Okay, it's not going to be a portion size. So, let's just say that a tablespoon of peanut butter or a couple of ounces of fish is a portion size. Someone who's allergic to the food is not going to be able to eat a whole portion before having an allergic reaction. But between person to person, it might be that a taste triggers an allergic reaction. It might be that like 2 bites trigger an allergic reaction. And then the problem also is that depending on the day and the state of health that you're in, the amount that can trigger a reaction can change, which is, again, why I tell parents either you're allergic or you're not. You can't base your future allergic reactions off of the one that you had in the past. So if the last time 2 bites of fish caused you to have the anaphylaxis, the full body reaction, could be that next time it's 4 bites of fish, or that it's 1 bite of fish. So it can change the threshold that triggers the allergic reaction, but it will be a small amount that's less than a portion for sure. And just a little bit to add to that, sometimes people think that smelling the food or being in the room with the food is going to trigger a reaction, and it causes a lot of fear, sort of what Jesus was asking before. So really for almost all foods, you are not going to have an allergic reaction from being in the room with it, or from smelling it, or even from touching it, unless if you touch it, maybe you'll get a rash when you touch it, but that's it. But if a baby touches it and puts it in their mouth, then they're at risk for a true reaction, meaning you need to ingest the food. But we have some unique foods that when cooking them could trigger an allergic reaction, and that's fish. With fish and shellfish, when people are cooking it and it's frying, the fish protein can get sort of into the air and you're sort of breathing it in, and that could trigger an allergic reaction. But really, most other foods, if you're around them, in the room with them, you're not having an allergic reaction from them.
Well, we really appreciate your time today. And I don't know if you have any special words for the youth of the community, or any words that you would like to share with us before we leave.
Sure. I mean, it's very impressive. I read about your program. I knew about it from before because I know Dr. Nunez, but I was reading a little bit more about it before this interview. I think it's great what you guys are doing in the community. I think that everyone here or who's listening, that, sort of when you have a goal or a dream, to work hard to achieve it. And that with a lot of work and sometimes setting mini goals to reach your big goal, you can get where you want to get. And that there's probably always someone in your corner that you could reach out to ask for help, in achieving your goals. I'm sure when you've got a will, you'll find someone to help you get there, yourself and a support system. So I wish you guys all a lot of luck.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Good day, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next week.
Don't forget to wear your mask.
Don't miss our next episode. Goodbye.